Good afternoon, everyone. Members of the press for coming to attend this press conference this afternoon. The Commission Management Team, led by the Commissioner, is here now to address the press. Commissioner.
Good afternoon, everyone in Papua New Guinea. It's election time, so we need to get some updates of what has happened in the last 1 week as we went into poll since Monday 4th conference. And I would like to start by thanking the citizens of Papua New Guinea for their participation in the 2022 National General Elections. I would also like to acknowledge the electoral officials, our security officers, our logistics personnel, healthcare workers, and all other men and women who are working tirelessly to deliver the elections in every part of our country. And the election is being delivered as we speak. All the provinces have started the polling. I would also like to acknowledge the representatives of civil society, organizations, media, domestic and international observers, and foreign diplomatic missions who contributed to the transparency of the election in PNG. I also thank those candidates and scrutineers who are adhering to the code of conduct of the political parties and candidates to enable a safe and peaceful election. But I also, when those who are not following the rules, law, and procedures to allow election officials to do their work are needed by excessive and inappropriate demands. Today, I will provide an update on the 2022 National General Election in the following order, and I wish to address the progress of polling across the country, the electoral roll, including key facts and figures, and the polling schedule for the coming week, the collaboration with security partners and stakeholders, and the preparation for counting and results. Overall, the election is being delivered in an orderly and peaceful manner, and I again salute Papua New Guineans across the country for their enthusiasm and reasons. There are a few important instances where this is not the case, which we are resolving. I will address those later. Conduct of polling. During the first 6 days, between 4th and to the 9th, polling has taken place in 17 of 22 provinces across the country. Polling has progressed smoothly in most provinces, with some reported delays due to various security, weather, logistics, and movement considerations. In the Highlands, polling was held in Ella and followed with Enga on the 4th and 7th, and will continue next week in some parts of the Enga province and other provinces. The remaining 5 provinces are scheduled to poll on the following week, starting today into next week. In Ella, polling was held successfully with relatively few reported issues, and counting is already underway for Ella Provincial and Taripori open electorates, including the other 4 free electorates. In Enga, polling started on Thursday as scheduled, but had to continue on Friday and Saturday due to incidents of obstruction, violence, and other security concerns. As a result, polling was delayed in some parts of the province. Polling is expected to be completed on Monday. The PNG is in direct communication with the 5 other provinces expected to vote next week. We are providing support to Provincial Electoral Office, ROs, AROs, and polling teams to deliver the elections and coordinate the security stakeholders to ensure voters can vote safely and freely. In New Guinea Highlands, polling commenced in all the provinces, including in the autonomous region of Bougainville. In Bougainville and Manus, polling commenced, but with some delays in transportation of materials and security personnel, but has proceeded smoothly since Wednesday. In New Ireland, West New Britain and East New Britain, polling largely opened on time and proceeded smoothly. According to reports received from the field, in the overwhelming majority of cases, polling opened on time and proceeded without any serious incidents. In Momase, polling commenced in all the provinces, though there were some delays, mainly due to security, logistics and transport issues. In Morobe, polling proceeded smoothly in most part, and the PNG, however, is following closely the situation in Finsapen district and working with the Provincial Election Office and security stakeholders to ensure a peaceful election. Polling was also held in Menday, East Civic and West Civic and will continue this week. In the southern region, polling commenced in all the provinces, but with some delays due to same issues, transportation challenges, as well as stakeholders issues and the weather patterns and the logistic issues. In the National Capital District, the election manager was advised to defer the elections from Monday to Wednesday and then again to Friday to enable the returning officer to sufficiently provide enough time to address stakeholder issues and manage the administrative and operational preparations. On Friday, polling was held in Mosby Northwest and Mosby South. And even though there were some delays in the opening polls in many polling places, polling proceeded smoothly and completed peacefully during the day. In Mosby Northeast, however, polling had to be deferred to Monday, 11th, which is tomorrow, after the behavior of some extremely vocal candidates and scrutinies held to delay in preparations, which also prompted the resignation of the returning officer for that electorate late Friday morning. After consulting with the 76 candidates on Friday afternoon, an agreement was reached to enable the returning officer to withdraw his resignation and carry out his duties to conduct polling and deliver counting in the coming week. I need to reiterate here that the Electoral Commission can only carry out the elections if all stakeholders respect the rules, officials and each in other and respect the people. Otherwise, everyone suffers, primarily the voters who have been waiting patiently for their opportunity to cast a vote. In all other southern region provinces, central, western, northern, Gulf province and Melimbe, polling has proceeded smoothly in most areas and is expected to finish next week, including in those areas where there have been some delays, mostly due to transportation, weather patterns, and logistic arrangements. Elections are delivered by people in your communities. They are teachers, social workers, mothers and fathers. These are people whom you know and who are committed to delivering this election in our community. In the urban areas, remote highlands, mountains, and delta regions, please respect them and that process. I would like to thank everyone who contributed to the national elections last week. I would also like to call on those who are voting next week to vote, including women, youth, persons with disability, people in remote and distant areas, and persons in marginalized communities. Through the Electoral Commission's National Election Coordination Center, my office is in daily communication with the provincial electoral office and returning officers and heroes who are in regular communication with their polling teams. I assure voters and stakeholders that in accordance with our constitutional mandate, the Electoral Commission is delivering the 2022 National General Election. In terms of electoral roll, I would like to discuss the issues on the electoral roll. I am aware of the concerns and questions expressed by voters and stakeholders related to the electoral roll. The Electoral Commission acknowledges that not all eligible voters may have been enrolled, but not for a lack of effort by the Electoral Commission. The PNG Electoral Commission was prepared to update the roll since 2020 and 21. However, adequate time funding to implement the roll update was delayed and accessibility only in January 2022. As a result, the roll update for the election was conducted with barely 3 months before the issue of writ in May 2022, the date when the roll closes to enrollments, with exceptions for nominated candidates. Regardless, the Electoral Commission updated and prepared the electoral roll with as many voters included as was possible in the limited time provided or period. Using the 2019 local level government and back in 17 maintenance of the electoral roll as the baseline, the Electoral Commission updated the roll as follows. Approximately 675,000 new enrollments were headed. About 75% of the new enrollments were young voters between 18 to 24 years old. This figure demonstrates the PNG Electoral Commission's commitment to targeting first-time and youth voters. The total number of electors for the 2022 National General Election is now 5.7 million, which represents a 9% overall growth rate, a higher overall growth recorded compared to 6% during the 2017 election. The PNG Electoral Commission launched a voter lookup platform to cater for the people who wish to check and confirm their names on its website, and provided a mobile lookup application on Android phones or smartphones, where voters can check their enrollment status and where they can register, where they are registered to vote. I invite voters to check their name on this platform. More can always be done to improve after the 2022 national elections. The Electoral Commission stands ready to enable and engage in consultations with government authorities at all levels in improving and improvising and advancing the electoral database. In terms of polling schedules, next I would like to inform you about the polling schedule. In most parts of the country, polling was held according to the polling schedules. However, as has been the case in the previous elections, and as is provided by law, slight variations were necessary to enable polling teams to address local issues and ensure that polling takes place under the best conditions possible. Polling schedule changes can take place due to a variety of reasons and circumstances on the ground. Delays in receipt of electoral materials, like in, for example, in Bougainville, Arrow, availability of chopper logistics, fuel, and to heli polling teams, weather patterns, and to the remote parts of Papua New Guinea. Security issues, like for example, we are facing minor security issues in Yanga, like today. I need to address stakeholder concerns like in NCDC, where we have to go through to try to address issues that's affecting the administrative processes, weather conditions which affected polling in several places and parts in the country the last week. Electoral Commission assures voters and electoral stakeholders that polling is being delivered across the country to enable all voters of Papua New Guinea to exercise their democratic rights to vote in a polling place and in an election. Next week, polling will continue and is expected to be completed in all provinces of the country. With the exception of Ella, polling will continue in all provinces that held polling this week. One day polling will continue to be held in the remaining 5 provinces in the Highlands region. As it stands now, polling is scheduled as follows. On the 11th, after Enga, on the 7th, starting 8 and 9, now on the 11th, we are expecting, which is tomorrow, Southern Highlands will go into polls. And we also expect followed by Western Islands on the 12th. Eastern Islands on the 12th. And on the 13th, Jiwaka and Western Islands, and Simbu will be done completing the islands region on the 15th. On 11 July, polling will also be held for what must be Northeast and in the remaining parts of Enga province. Now, security issues that's affecting the election process in most places across the country, security and safety of the electoral process has been maintained during polling. I thank the Royal Papua New Guinea, the security forces, including PNG Defence Force and Correctional Services for their important contributions to the security of the elections and the people of Papua New Guinea. The Electoral Commission is working closely with the Joint Security Task Force to coordinate, share information to ensure a safe voting environment. Impunity for electoral crimes will not be tolerated. Those who commit offences should be met with the full law, or full force of the law, and be dealt with under the electoral offences law. The Electoral Commission stands ready to do its part and work with the police and other law enforcing authorities to provide information that contributes to prosecution and sanctioning of those who commit election offences and breach of electoral laws. I remind all political parties, candidates, and their supporters to abide and respect the electoral laws and regulations and contribute to a safe polling and counting environment in the coming days. Counting and scrutiny will continue after the polling. So counting will start and finish at different times in different places, and it has already started according to the plans. When the polling is completed, counting to proceed as and when they are ready. The electoral law provides for counting to begin as soon as polling is finished in an open or provincial electorate. Counting began in Ella, provincial electorate, and Taipori open electorate on Friday. Counting is expected to begin early next week for Mosby Northwest and Mosby South. Our goal at the Electoral Commission is to retain the 180 electoral rates on time by 29 July 2022. The date by which the majority of the rates for the 2022 general election must be returned to the Governor General. The Electoral Commission has introduced several innovations to meet this deadline. We'll apply a variety of counting center models. Ballots will be physically counted at district and or provincial capitals organized by LNG-based count stations to expedite results and increase accountability, efficiency, and transparency in the counting process. Results will be transmitted and verified through a result management system and then publicized on the Electoral Commission website. This will allow the general public to see updated results from all the electorates in the country. The Office of the State Solicitor has also assigned a group of each lawyers to support the electoral process with a dedicated hotline and legal guidance to the provincial electoral officers. More updates on the conduct of counting will be provided in the coming days. With that, I wish to, by way of closing remarks, to conclude the 2022 National General Election is being delivered to elect the 11th National Parliament election of Papua New Guinea. I urge all enrolled voters or every citizen to participate where voting is scheduled next week, especially women, youth, and persons with disability. I invite the electoral stakeholders to provide and participate in a whole of society approach and government approach towards conduct elections for the sake of our democracy and the country. I appeal to political parties and the public, candidates and other supporters to adhere to laws, regulations that govern our elections to ensure a safe and peaceful election. Also want to encourage the public and all political parties to exercise caution when discussing the electoral process to avoid false or misleading information. Electoral Commission is committed to providing accurate information on its official website and Facebook page, and on a newly established Facebook page and Twitter handle from the Office of the Electoral Commissioner. During this election and in all other future elections, traditional media and social media play an important role in informing our public or the public, but they can also be platforms for disinformation. We must all take care to verify information and ensure accuracy in reporting to avoid misperceptions and mitigate the risk of violence. The Electoral Commission will continue to engage regularly with stakeholders, including the media, to communicate accurate information about the elections and throughout the election period. With that, thank you all, and I will now address if there's any question, but thank you for the rest of the people out there. Wish you good luck in the remaining balance of the week in the elections and the countings to come.